Hello, and welcome to the Jump King Challenge. We're back, as they say. It's been a while. As per usual, it feels like this is number 26, 130 falls. And I am in a new environment, you might notice. I am now in my new place. I moved in mostly, and that's one of the reasons I've been gone. Moving is really a process that never ends, it feels like. You have to, of course, clean your old place. We're off to a good start. You have to unpack everything. Oh my god. Did I forget how to play Jump King? You might wonder. And the answer is no, I did not. I just have rust that's coming off of me. But my point is basically, yeah, moving takes time, takes effort. It's been a lot. But now it is late February when I'm recording, and I'm just like, okay, I need to get back into recording. I need to get back into to using my creative time to be creative. So that's what I'm doing here. And I thought while I'm here, it might be a good idea for me to just catch up with you guys, give you some updates on life, and then I'll dig into some ideas that I want to talk about, some video concepts, some states of the union kind of stuff, and stuff that has just excited me a bit or whatever recently. So I guess first, and this is unrelated to what I was just saying, I need to probably figure out my setup a little different, because when I'm playing Jump King, I can't actually see part of the screen because of my microphone arm, so I need to be careful, because I might just mess up. But anyways, one update, I guess, in my life is my D&D campaign has really not been, neither of them have really been happening, and some of it has to do with me moving, some of it has to do with people's real life problems, and some of it has to do with, just schedule misalignment stuff, and that's probably like the biggest maybe negative of the last couple months. Like mostly everything has been pretty good, but I have been missing D&D a lot. I've been kind of filling that gap with different video games that are not really things that I would stream, or even think about recording. And mostly I've been doing that, in the early hours when I'm not really focused, or in the rare nights where I'm not rewatching Game of Thrones currently. So yeah, I've been kind of on like a re-binging, I guess you could say, like replaying games that I really like. So mainly I've been playing a bunch of Skyrim. I got like multi-hundred, I don't know how many, probably 200, 300 mods set up for Skyrim, which I've done like everything in Skyrim except for like the ENB like visual stuff. I have done all kinds of mods in my time. I've done like very adult coded mods. I've done like some big story mods. But there are still like some major ones that I've never experienced. And I also just really want like gameplay with the perks that's better than the default, and also better than like Apocalypse, which is a very popular perk overhaul. Or no, Ordinator. Sorry, Ordinator is the perk overhaul that's really popular. Apocalypse is a magic. But the point is, I have often done those ones, and I kind of just want more. I want to be able to level up my character and have it be cool and unique and awesome. And the reason for that is connected to like what I've been reading lately, which is kind of random, but I will explain the connection in a bit. First, I just want to get you an idea of what my Skyrim loadout is. But basically, it's all like follower mods and plot story mods, and then I have like big magic overhaul and big perk overhauls. And I have merged all of the perk overhauls together, and I've also added more skills to the game because there's a custom skill framework that came out, I guess, in the last year or so. Maybe it's been 2 years old. I don't know. It's not that new though, or not that old rather. It's pretty new. So I have really changed how Skyrim is played hugely. And, you know, maybe you don't really care about that, but I do. And it's really fun and interesting. I've been doing some vanilla stuff, but mostly I've been sticking to doing these new quests that I have so many of, to be honest, that are changing how I play the game. I'm also like role-playing, and in games like Skyrim, I almost never role-play. What I usually do, and that's maybe strange to hear that I don't usually roleplay in a role-playing game, but I usually do what I think many people do, which is where you kind of do optimized gameplay. You go like, how, you know, is it min-maxing gameplay? No, like I'm not a min-maxer. I don't try to max every stat. I don't try to play the best way, because I think Stealth Archer is fun, but like it's not the only thing I would do. Rather, I optimize for content, and I think people do that, like, quite a lot. What I mean is, like, Skyrim's storyline, like, it's many storylines. Like, different teams made different quests. This is, like, a famous strength of the series of Elder Scrolls games, and specifically of Skyrim, is, like, the Dark Brotherhood quest is wholly independent of the main story. And it has all kinds of like cool things you can do. This is true for other types of quests too. Now, usually, I've had no moral scruples about like the content. I've just been like, okay, I'm going to play a character and I'm going to do all the quests. Maybe not all of them, but all the ones that I find fun. And I love like stories. So like I just keep going and going for, you know, these different story developments. So it doesn't really matter to me if the story is evil. Like the Dark Brotherhood story is pretty evil. You have to murder someone to start it. But I've also, you know, been the hero who saves everyone. And so like I've always played like a pretty morally, almost amoral character. Like a character who's just in it for doing the things that happen to them. They go like, oh, a Daedric Lord? I'm gonna do their quest. Oh, a good god? I'm gonna do their quest. And that's how I've played all of the Elder Scrolls games that I played. So Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Now in this case, I'm doing something different. I decided that my character is a priest of Archelay, and I decided this before I started. And they're not like a priest in the sense who has like specific priestly missions, because that doesn't exist as a mod. But rather, I'm thinking of them as like a roving priest who does things that support Archelay. So maybe they're more like a paladin. But basically they are taking up, you know, fighting the undead, fighting necromancers, and serving Archelay's purposes. And I have like a cool mod that gives you like a starting quest, and it actually penalizes your ability to level up until you finish your starting quest, which I somewhat regret, but it's a good motivation. And the starting quest I got is like, oh, your mentor has kind of become a necromancer. And I didn't realize that was exactly what they had become, but it just kind of said like they turned evil. And I eventually discovered they're like holed up in a necromancer place. So I'm like, oh shit, they're a necromancer. And this is actually quite cool then, right? You're a paladin of Archelay, and your master, person who taught you to fight the undead and to fight necromancers, became a necromancer. So it has this very emergent gameplay feeling to it. And as I do quests, I always prioritize them around, you know, this one goal of dealing with my master. And I've actually tried to enter the dungeon where the master is, and it happens that I also have like an epic leveling mod where, you know, the monsters and the creatures, the people, they all are higher level than normal to just kind of keep the difficulty up. So it's actually really almost impossible for me to defeat my master. They're so much stronger than me, and magical casters are really hard to fight in Skyrim. You know, they can one-shot you. And my character is not strong enough to actually get into the boss room. I can get, like, in the last part. Oh no, that was really sloppy. I can get in the last part, but I can't actually get to the Necromancer. And even if I could, I might not be able to win. And I've tried twice to get down there, and my character is like level 50, which is very high level for how long I've actually played. I haven't played that long, actually, or that many hours. It's just I've been making progress, like, big time. And I've been using really powerful spells to level up too, which is mad helpful. In any case, this has changed how I played the game totally, right? I actually have failed quests that I have never failed before, and I added like some mods that gave me more options for quests, and sometimes these options are used by me and sometimes they aren't. And it has just been very different, and I think the way I normally play these games is very admirable in a way. This is how I played Baldur's Gate, for example, the first time I played it. And on the other hand, I think to myself, like, there is something to be gained from playing the game in a role as a character. It just changes how you interact with people. It changes how you take things seriously or not. And it's probably not for everybody. And it's certainly not for you if you have no time to play multiple playthroughs. But it's definitely different than just like having a build that's interesting, which I've done before. It's much more like fulfilling on the story level. And it has created, you know, stories for my character. Like, I have an emergent narrative that is occurring with this Priest of Arclay who's developing their abilities. They've actually done the quest where they have helped Azora, for instance, because it made sense. And Merida's Beacon is a quest that I'm also going to do because it involves defeating the undead. These are like things that they show the limits, I guess, of even like an Idric, like a good character, will still do things in service of evil if it aligns with their objectives. And that's quite cool. So I've been having a great time of that. I haven't actually played much of it in the last week and a half, or even 2 weeks maybe. I just have been doing other things, which I'll get to in a sec. But this rust, guys. I've already wasted 35 falls doing what I think is not that hard for me normally. So I'm sorry, guys. What else is to be said? I think that's a max jump. Let's see. Yeah, it is. I forgot that was a max jump. I've also been playing Master Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh! I just had that feeling where I was like, I want to see how things are going. I saw there's an update on Steam for the 4th year of Master Duel. And I also was like, you know, I didn't really play with the newest Madolche Tiramisu Supreme card. I don't know what her name is off the top of my head, but she's a tiramisu card. You know, I had been playing the most when Pain au Chocolat finally had kind of come out in Master Duel. But playing with these two new cards, there's also like a cute, I don't know, dog licorice card. I have no idea if that's correct, like a gummy dog, but that's how I'm imagining it right now, so I hope it's true. But I have really only been playing maybe 5 or 6 days, but I've just been doing the daily kind of quests, and it's just it's a lot of fun to see how that game changes over the years and what becomes valuable or strong in a format and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the cards that were really issues for me when I quit playing like Max C was a huge issue, because of just how disabling it is if you're a Madolche player. Is now only at 1, so you can only have 1 in your whole deck, and people still run it, of course, but it is just way less common, and this means that I can actually like play the game. And also, I remember when the new tiramisu came out, you know, Madolche before had been a OTK, a 1-turn kill deck, so you would always take turn 2 and you try to just win on your turn and hope that your opponent could not stop you, which is one of the strategies of Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's kind of, it can be very, what's the word? It can be very, wow, that was a mighty fall. I don't know if I've ever fallen that far, from this particular spot. Anyways, now with the new 2 new cards, the Link monster that I mentioned, the dog gummy one, and the new tiramisu card, you can actually play as a turn 1 deck, meaning you have some ways to stop your opponents from playing the game. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, you either win the game, or you are winning the game, or you try to stop your opponent from winning the game. These are like the 2 major ways to play. Are you disrupting and stopping the enemy, or are you winning? And in, you know, the best decks can do both. They can win the game or disrupt, and so they kind of maybe are both disrupting each other. Can you disrupt the enemies disrupting, etc., etc.? And Yu-Gi-Oh is a very complicated game where you need to have a really strong understanding of the rule set of the game in order to actually win. I'm having some bizarre luck there. I feel like I might be doing it wrong, but we'll find out. But this has shifted how I play the Madolches hugely, and, you know, it's kind of cool how strong that deck has become and how robust it is. It used to be a very popular deck, and it fell out of favor because there were just so many new things that had come out. But every once in a while, there's a new Madolche card or cards, and they push the deck back into being at least semi-playable. And I guess what surprises me the most about it is you have these combos that are, you know, old school. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. And it requires a lot of thinking and a lot of creative choices, and there are branching paths that you can make depending on what you have in your hand. But it is such a knowledge deck. You have to know so much about those cards to be able to play correctly, to eke out the maximum potential. Like, you can play it pretty safe versus you can like do a lot, right? I wonder if I can just like barely bounce here like this. Nope, that was real bad. I think maybe I do it on the changeover on the wind. But yeah, it's been a joy to return to that, even though I am much weaker as a player currently. And there are, of course, new cards and new decks that I don't understand that I'm fighting against that can do things like, you know, synchro or link summon during my turn. And I'm like, why are you doing that, sir? Please don't do things during my turn. But my view is kind of like, if it's turn 3 or 4, and I'm not about to win, that's a pretty bad sign. But I will say, I guess what I want to say the most is like, I can't believe I got up there and then I just jumped right off. You know, in Yu-Gi-Oh, one of your goals is to like plus your hand. That's what it's called. So like, every time you draw a card is a +1 if you don't lose a card. So in order to +1, you actually need to use the card you have and then also gain an additional card, in addition to maybe 1. So drawing 2 cards is a +1 if the card you have is destroyed. Now, if you summon like a monster and it draws you a card, that is a +1 because the monster is on the field, but you also have a new card. Another way of thinking of the +1 is like, if you count the number of cards on the field and in someone's hands. That's how many cards they have. On their first turn, they should have 5. So anything over 5 is like plussed. And I did like a normal turn, and someone rage quit right at the end of my first turn. But I looked at my field and I looked at my cards and I had +7. And I was like, that is unfathomable. Like, in Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 years ago, on Madolche, I could probably +4, maybe +3. It's around 3 or 4. And if I go back further than that, I could probably +2 or +3. It's the top. But I'm like sitting here at +6, and I'm like, I thought to myself, like, I bet you I could have eked out another +1 if I was a little bit better with the Venus Sylph cards that I have in the deck. They're like the secondary engine. And that is just cool. Like, it is cool that you can actually elbow grease your way through, and suddenly you have actually bolstered your field from 5 cards to 12 cards. And then it's your opponent's turn, and you go, okay, let's fight now. I have 12 cards, and I can stop you from doing things, and you have 5 cards. Do you have the ability to defeat all of what I've put on the field? And in that game, I won because the person rage quit, right? But I had another game where I didn't +5 or 7. You know, I probably +4'd, maybe I +5'd. And they were playing Cyber Dragons, which is like a very rogue OTK deck that if you're any good and you have a good deck, you shouldn't really lose to it. It's just not likely. Like, it'll beat you very rarely because it's a one-turn kill deck. One-turn kill decks will always beat you sometimes, especially if you brick your hand, which is when you just draw something awful. But, you know, Cyber Dragons are not a real threat to anybody who's playing the game, in my opinion, unless there's some new changes there, which could be true. There could be like a new Cyber Dragon deck that's the best. I haven't looked at what's actually in the tiers, but in any case, this person wasn't playing like with a good deck. They were playing with a bad deck. Here we are at 49 falls. But the situation was they played Raigeki, a very old card in Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the kind of classic strong cards in the olden days. Destroys all monsters on the field on the enemy's side. It's better than Dark Hole, which destroys both sides. And they used Raigeki, and I had the ability to stop Raigeki. There's a Knights of Madolche card that can just stop, basically just stop anything, like one time. And I was like, no, you cannot Raigeki me. I don't like that. And that happened, and I was like, okay, I'm all right. And the thing is, Raigeki used to be a card you could only have one of. But now you can have 3 Raigekis. And nobody in their right mind would have 3 Raigekis, because that's very weird. Because what happens, for instance, if you draw 3 Raigekis on turn 1, or you draw 2 Raigekis in turn 1? Normally, this is pretty useless. There are plenty of monsters that can't be destroyed by card effects and things like this. You know, Raigeki's not actually what it used to be. That's why you can now have 3. But he just played another Raigeki. So it blew up almost all of my monsters. I was able to save 1 because of a different card effect. And then he proceeded to, you know, OTK me with the Cyber Dragons. But it kind of, I guess, reminded me, whatever. It shows just how the meta can shift, because I can't imagine a version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where, like, you go, yeah, I'm just going to fill my deck with Raigeki so I can just blow the field up over and over again. But that might be the meta now for the OTK decks. They might be like, okay, the only way I can really get over these people who, like, link summon during my turn is I just keep blowing up the field. And, you know, with that in mind, I I'm really excited, interested to keep going, to play more, to dig into it. But mostly, I'm also just collecting the gems from the event. There are a bunch of cool bundles out right now that you can spend gems on to get ultra rare cards and things like that, and just unique art cards, which is just fun. But I think for me, being able to have those guaranteed rares is quite cool, because when you're playing Master Duel, it's like you can't make as many decks as you'd like. If you're like me and you're like, I love playing these old decks that are kind of bad. But because of this this event, I've actually got to finish my Lightsworn deck finally. And Lightsworns are awful. Like, I'm not lying. They're really not good. But I got to finish my Lightsworn deck, and I was able to play that a bit in casual and stuff because of this event, and I was like, that's just fun. It's really nice when you get to, I don't know, embrace the chaos or whatever. You get to have your silly deck of vaguely Christian people who destroy your own deck, which I just think is a fun mechanic and concept, just to be like, yeah, I'm a Lightsworn, I eliminate my own deck, and that's how I play the game. And that's really, I guess, why I love playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really there are archetypes for every kind of playstyle. It's like, oh, do you want to mill your own cards? That's Lightsworns. Do you want to mill your opponent's cards? There are like several milling decks. Do you want to send your cards from the deck to the grave? You can play Shadows. Do you want to send cards from the field to the grave? You can play Burning Abyss. Do you want to banish your cards and also summon them from the grave? You can play Elemental Dragons. Do you want to shuffle your opponent's cards into their decks? Then you can play Madolches like me. Do you want to run into your enemies with your cards and kill them while killing yourself? You can play Gustos. Do you want to play Solitaire? Do you want to play alone for 20 minutes and see if you won or lost based on whether your enemies could stop you or if you got lucky? You can play Exodia then. Do you want to destroy cards in your hand to summon them? Do you want to destroy enemy cards? Do you want to Pendulum summon? Do you want to Link summon? XYZ summon? Ritual summon? Fusion summon? Do you want to do some of these, but not all of them? Do you want to do all of them? It's crazy, just how many different ways you can play the game, and there's different themes for everything. Do you want to be dog police people? Do you want to be vampires? Do you want to play as psychic people? Do you want to be a fork and a spoon? All of this stuff is possible in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is what makes it a special card game. Magic the Gathering has a similar brevity in terms of similar depth in terms of possibilities, right? You can do so much in Magic. You can play so much, especially now with the secret, what are they called? Secret invasions or something? Something almost Marvel-esque sounding, where they have, cards that are themed off of popular IPs like Dungeons and Dragons. But even so, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes the cake by having just a myriad of like silly concepts that you can dive into, and interesting methods of play, a lot of which are fun to watch be executed. I find it fun to watch other people do their things against me, unless they're like a fully stun lock kind of deck that just stops me from doing anything, because as a Madolche player, that's really rough. You can't grind out. But it's been fun. So, other updates. That's like the video game side of things, I guess. I've been ice skating a lot, and ice skating to me has been like, I used to skate when I was young. I loved to skate. It was always really fun for me. But I stopped playing hockey because I had friends who were in hockey, but when I broke my foot when I was 7, they basically didn't hang out with me as much. And I couldn't hang out with them as much. They were always playing hockey. I wasn't playing hockey, etc., etc. And I wasn't the best hockey player back then. I wasn't terrible. But I wasn't like good either. I was just kind of all right. And you know, at age 7, nobody is a good hockey player, to be real. But I was really disenchanted. I knew it cost my parents a lot of money, and I also knew that even though I thought it was fun to skate, I thought it was fun to play hockey, I kind of just like learned these, you know, these people aren't really my friends. And, you know, it was only like a year after that, really. There's like one more year where I was close to the hockey friends that I had. And then after that, I basically wasn't friends with them anymore. Like, we didn't really do anything together anymore. And I still went to hockey games for my older sister all the time. I still love watching it. I like playing it. I like going to the arenas. I played intramural hockey in middle school. You know, I still had a love of the game. But I just was like, no, not for me anymore. And coming back to ice skating has been really nice and fun. Every time I go there, I feel like I'm relearning like a skill that I feel like I was better at than I thought I was. And I'm still not good by any means, but I'm improving every single time. And that is a feeling that is really nice. And with jogging and things like that, you don't always feel that level of improvement. It goes away so fast, it feels like. But in this case, I really feel strong, and I feel like I'm getting better, and it's just been very nostalgic. It's very weird to like rediscover, regrow into a skill you once had. But I'm doing it, and I'm having a great time doing that with Taya. Now, I've also been thinking about videos a lot, creative stuff. 64 falls. And obviously the channel has never had a great run, in my opinion, in terms of diversity of content and in terms of consistency of content. And to be honest, the most important part of actually having a following in one of these things is to have consistency of content, relevance of content. You have to do things that are new enough that people care about them and search them. You have to do things that that gather an audience that you are cultivating and you interact with, you engage with, that have impressions that want to watch your content. They see it and they go, oh yes, I actually like this. And I'm still obviously an infant in terms of developing something with such a unniche category as playing games, which is what it's mostly been on Mishmashed. But that was never the intention for Mishmash, right? Mishmash is not supposed to be only games at all. It's supposed to be a lot of other things. I had done a whole like betterment thing, but when I had lost my computer hard drive, that went away, and it's like really impossible probably to actually reconstruct. And I could try it all again, but it would be, I don't know, it would have less of an impact. You know, I recorded a lot of stuff that I could try to like unpack and re-edit and all of that, but just, you know, the 15 hours of footage and all of the time that it took to make and then edit that, and I wasn't finished editing, but I had done quite a bit, and the thinking about it, like all of that was for nothing. and would be really difficult to replicate. You know, that kind of stuff, those setbacks have kind of obviously hurt the channel in terms of things, and things like the Jump King inconsistency of content, right, has definitely hurt. You know, when I was more consistent with my uploads, there was in fact like a slow building of views. There are some episodes that did badly, and the better the thumbnail, the better the episode typically. In terms of views, in terms of what I think quality is, it's always better if there's somebody here with me. But there are also some episodes, like I really liked the Ideology of Jump King episode personally, where I feel like, wow, I'm doing something here. I'm doing a good job. Oh, that hurts, guys. But you know, to return to the main focus, I want to make other videos. I don't want to make Jump King videos all the time. And one of the reasons I haven't made Jump King videos all the time is because I don't want to do this. Right? When I'm actually at this stage, I meant to have been doing this every week. I meant to be getting better every week. I meant to be moving forward every week. But, you know, first health, stress, they held me back. Then other, you know, barriers showed up. Moving showed up most recently and took a lot of my time. And now I have time again. But every time I restart doing Jump King just like this, I have to relearn. I have to start over. I have to grind out again. And I refuse to give up. And I refuse to end the strategy of doing 5 more falls each time, because that is the series. That is the gimmick. That is the struggle. That is the desire. And if somebody watches this all at once, you know, they will see a man who slowly loses his mind, slowly is defeated by Jump King. You know, the stress of this world. I can even feel a bit of stress right in here, which is crazy. It's crazy to me that this game stresses me out. But it does, because it's hard. I'm 71 falls, and I'm not even close to where I need to be. I need to be spending, I don't know, 80 of my falls today on that final jump with the ice, because I'm so close to getting to the tower. I'm so close. Or am I? Am I so close? I've been there before, but now, am I close? No, I'm not. But I'm starting again. And it reminds me of Bojack. You know, it's not hard to... It's hard, but it gets easier each time you do it, they say. To get up and start over again. And maybe that's true for jogging or exercise or eating healthy or something. But it's not true for Jump King. Jump King doesn't get easier. And I don't remember. I think I'm supposed to jump up. Nope. That wasn't right. I just recalled that there's that jump that Joey kind of liked that I did here. Well, let's see if I can get there. I'm gonna try it. All this to say. All this to say, I really do want to make more videos, and I'm gonna try and record more Jump King. And I'm not going to release this video at the end of February until I have at least, I don't know, 5 Jump King videos to put out. And the reason is I want to get back into the production. And I think to properly produce content like this, you need to you need to be working in advance. It's not as topical then, it suffers from topicality. But I'm willing to do that for Jump King, because Jump King videos like this, they have never been about current events. Not really. I'm not talking about, you know, what happened with the Super Bowl right now. And if I was, it would already be dated in some ways. That's a terrible event for me to reference at the end of February. But this has never been a place for that. It has been a place for my thoughts, my ideas, discussion, questions, diving into like Lucas lore. And it's been a space for challenge, for struggle. That said, I have some stuff in the works. I always do. I, of course, have the video on the taint. The video essay. It's not about that one, but it's about this taint of content and how it affects us. And I wrote a decent amount on that in recent history. I mentioned it in, I think, the most recent Jump King video. But I haven't gone further than that as of yet. But I have conceived more. I've thought about more. I'm going to do the bathhouse part 3 finally. And then I'll have the bathhouse content to also include as an upcoming video. But one of the things I want to do is I want to explore my creative process. I consider myself a creative. I do things. I write things. I write academically. I write non-academically. I make videos academically. I make videos non-academically. I experiment with different art forms. I love to try new things. It's one of my biggest boons, and it's one of my biggest problems. But I think, when you have a flaw, I guess you could say, a flaw that is something like, oh, you love to start all kinds of new projects and learn like a very small, shallow level of knowledge in them. When you have something like that, you should utilize it for your joy. And you should utilize it because that will help you to, at least for me, it will help me to be more supportive of it. Not be bitter or resentful to myself, which I think would be really easy to do, to be honest. Because it is easy to be like, wow, you really said you wanted to start painting 2 years ago. You painted, 12 paintings, but what have you done since then? And the answer is not much. I don't think I painted much at all in 2025. I think I painted maybe one time. In 2024, I painted quite a lot. I didn't learn anything. Just kidding. I learned a little bit, but I didn't learn that much about painting, and I want to paint more, and I brought my paints with me, and I bought more paints, and I like it. It's fun and cool. And now I have the time to do it. But there's this other part of me always that's like, you can be doing something else. Sometimes it's productive stuff, whatever that means. And sometimes it's really just Skyrim. Or it's hanging out with my friends. I do so much socialization, which is weird because I feel like I am an introvert. I can lose a lot of my my energy by doing socialization, but I also really I like my friends. I want to keep all of my friends, and part of that is being social. So it's the cost, right? But I also want to grow in that art field, and so I came up with the idea of exploring the creative process, doing some kind of piece of art from beginning to end. And I want to start with things that I'm most comfortable with. I talked to Taya about this while I was figure skating one day. Not figure skating, ice skating one day. Someday maybe I'll figure skate, that'd be cool. But this whole like growing from start to finish in an art project is something that I have ideas of how to do. I've written poems before. I've written short stories before. I've written a novella before. And some of these projects take a long time and some of them take a little time. And I kind of want to explore those ideas, but I want to explore those ideas by looking at the, yes, we're fucking here. We did it. We're so fucking awesome. Oh my god. I'm so happy to be in Chapel Perilous right now. Oh, if only I can remember how to do it. Do I do that again? Yeah. I keep hearing the Dragonborn Dragon Age song, sorry. Not the Dragonborn song. Oh, that was bizarre. So cringe. Okay, that's not right. So we jump here, then we jump here. Yeah, that'll work. You know, I think that was wrong. I think there's actually a simple way to do that, and I just did it a different way. I think it's like... It's not like that, guys. That was not right. Where was I? Art stuff. So yeah, I'm going to prioritize things that I know well and show my process. And I'm also going to prioritize things that don't take that long. That's how you do it. So I'm going to make things, and I'm going to be fucking extremely happy to do it, because I really I like being creative. And I can only say that I'm supposed to max jump that. I can only say I'm excited to try it out, and I think those videos will definitely take time, and I want to talk through my whole process every time. I just did that again and it worked again. That's so wild. Like, what am I doing? Okay, we go up there. Can I do that? No. Anyways, I think the joy of creating and showing the process is going to be interesting for people to watch. I'm an ideas guy, and one thing I know more than anything is how to try to be creative, and also how to actually be creative. You know, it's a systematic thing, it's a non-systematic thing. You grab pieces and you use them. And I am pumped to do it. Here we are in Blue Room. 93 falls in. I have 37 to go. I think I'm gonna drink beer. I opened my glasses cabinet to grab a glass for this, and immediately one of my glasses shattered. I think it cut me a little bit, but I'll still be able to jump king, but I'm gonna go and handle that for a sec. All right, where was I before all of that just happened? Who knows? But I've got a beer now, and I'm a bit bandaged because I was bleeding. which I don't know if you can show in YouTube. Who knows? I'll have to look that up. So maybe you saw my blood, maybe you didn't. But anyway, we're on the ice part. I don't know. I'm probably going to start with a poem, though. I might do a dungeon for Dungeons and Dragons. I might just do like a riddle for Dungeons and Dragons, like just show all the constituent parts of a dungeon. Like, how do you make a trap room? How do you do this? How do you do that? Because that's fun. I might show world building. I might show a short story. I might show a painting or a drawing. I don't really know how to draw, but I could try. And that's part of what it would be, is experiencing these things for the first time in the way where I would have to describe them to you. Because honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with, I forgot that I can save myself. Oh no. Can I get out of this? What? Okay. Fuck. There we go. All I can say though is wee. I'm gonna have some fun. And that's like a whole series I want to do. Last time I talked about like different challenge ideas, and some of you gave me some feedback. Some of you in the comments, some of you in the real life. And I'm honestly just like thrilled to get out of the Jump King. So I'm hoping too that when I said I'm gonna make like 5 of these, that I will be done by then, and I will have really pushed myself. Because I think I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna try and do it Sunday. Because I have time in the morning to do this. But maybe I'll have lost all my brain cells. Who knows? I would love to even do like an academic article, like showing how to write one. If you're an actual real academic, as I am. But the only one I could actually do that for is probably the introduction to issue 2 of Tale, which is a journal that I'm supposed to be contributing to. And that would be quite... it's rife for potential of being difficult to do in YouTube. I might have to get like release forms from people and stuff like that. And I'm comfortable doing that. I've done that before. But I don't necessarily want to do that in the sense of like, this channel is connected to my life, of course, but it's not so in an official way. Sorry, I'm looking at my arm. I was worried that I was bleeding there too. Because I got to tell you, the glass that broke that I mentioned, probably, it's wild. It was stacked on another glass upside down, and it was kind of hugging it, right? Which you should not do, probably. But I'm a rebel. I do things the crazy way. And it basically exploded, right? But only the top part. So when I pulled it out, it was falling over, and I have surprisingly elegant reactions sometimes. And in this case, I slid it down while it was falling, and it bounced against the counter and landed upright in the very back. And the top kind of exploded into, I think, 5 pieces. So really not so many pieces. And honest to goodness, not that big of an L. But I don't know where I was going with this. Not even a little. And I've only had 1 sip of beer. Maybe it's the blood loss. Anyways. I want to show off different skills. different creative things. Yeah. How do I do that again? Do I jump twice? Is that what I do? Do I jump after? I think so. Let's try that again. This is actually very similar to ice skating, except it's something that I hate instead of something that I like. I will say this has actually, I was playing some platformer. I don't know which one, but I was playing it and I thought to myself, wow, this game is so much more like less cruel, less difficult than Jump King. And honestly, that's just how it is. Oh yeah, I wanted to explain why I started playing Skyrim. So I've been reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. I just finished the final book today. Final book that's out. It's not the final book of the series. I think if it does what I would want it to do, then it has 9 more books to go. But it's definitely leaning towards more like having 4 or 5 books for various reasons. I can always save myself on that fall, but I'm not. That was so cool. I would love to do that again. How did I do that? Crazy. But I've been reading it, and I've enjoyed it. At the very beginning, I was unsure. It has a somewhat sexist main character. He's sexist in the way that's like, he's more likely to be protective of women, more likely to think he has the best answer. This is also just like character flaw, honestly. And the world he's in is sexist. So you're also kind of thinking to yourself like, is it the author? Is the author the sexist one? And you know, maybe the author is, especially in the first 2 books, maybe. You know, that can happen in Dresden Files. Although Dresden Files author certainly became better about that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's not unheard of, is basically what I'm trying to say. You know, people can be sexist, they can change, they cannot change. All manner of stuff can happen in the real world, right? Can I just walk up there? We have 25 falls, guys. What if I make this right now? On my first try, after stumbling this whole way, what if this one jump, and I'm really paranoid about bleeding for some reason, what if this is it? Honestly, that fucking almost felt like it was gonna work. Can I just like... I don't think that works, guys. Okay, I think I might actually research this. I'm not gonna. It's not allowed. Who I need right now is my younger brother. I need to get him on. I need to bring him in right now. Because I am allowed to ask him. Because that's, you know, he's good at this. So let me get back up here. Okay. Let me get back up there. I'm like finding all new cool ways to fuck this up. For real. Okay. I think it was like that. Yeah. And we just kind of go up a little bit. This is not something you can mess up easily. Unless you do that, apparently. Oh my god. I I was like, I'm just gonna get right back up there, and then I'll try to call him. I'll just like see if he's around and be like, hey, it's time to jump. But hey, maybe it will happen. Actually be kind of crazy if he's up right now. Although maybe he's up. It's actually late. And because it's late here, it might be early enough that he's up. Anyways, Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's been very interesting, and like I wanted to cover this in the video, but maybe I will make a video about AI Dungeon or something. But AI Dungeon is something I've played a lot with to better understand LLMs on like a surface level, and also because I want to have endless immersive generative gameplay, right? I want to build a story that's like in my worlds that I built, which is crazy because that's very unfeasible, I have learned, with our technology for a lot of reasons. There's like a million reasons that's a bad idea, and it doesn't work yet. And this stuff will probably work at some point, but we haven't reached that point yet. And Voyage, which AI Dungeon is making, might be one step in that direction, and I'm super excited about it. But Dungeon Crawler Carl is the kind of... It would be the greatest game. That's how I feel about it. I'm like, that would be so fun as a game. Now, if I just try to max jump to the right... Guys. All I needed to do was max jump to the right. I have 17 more falls, guys. I wonder what the shaking does. Is it random? Okay. I mean, we've got a new peak, though. And this is easy. This is not... Okay, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy to get up there. Obviously. I've only done it a handful of times. But this is way easier than what I was dreaming. No. Okay. Every fall counts. This could be the last Jump King video. I mean, it's very unlikely, but this spot here has been scaring me for so long. And I think if I can get onto the blue, that's like goal one, right? Okay, that's too much. Dude, that was bizarre, frankly, but I'm really glad that worked. Too weak. This is like learning a new jump, right? This is a new zone. I mean, if not today, maybe tomorrow. I mean, we have 12 faults. It's not over, but even if it is, this is huge for me. And I hope that I don't just have like memory problems and I've already peaked here, but this is so big. It just like, it is enlivening me. I'm like, hoo. Dungeon Crawler Carl, though, it is the perfect video game. It's like a world where any skill that you have could be useful, even the skills that you have in life that you didn't think were useful. And I would love to live in a world like that as someone who has a bunch of random useless skills. And like jump kinging could be a skill. Like the guy's Frogger skills came up and they'll probably come up again. But they were relevant at least once because they helped, build the relationships between some fucking rock people and the protagonist. But what I like about Dungeon Crawler Carl a lot is it reminds me of John Dies at the End. And it reminds me of of bizarro fiction. It's weird as hell. I described a scene of this to you where I was like, oh, right now what's happening is a young woman and her pet dog are trying to kill the main character's cat, who's on top of a sniper tower that's been amplified to shoot magic missiles, and she's turned all of the stairwells into ramps, and she's throwing barrels down it like Donkey Kong, while he and a velociraptor try to subdue her. And I added more information and more details. I'm not able to recollect exactly what I said, but it's fucking silly, and it's awesome. Okay. Am I good at this? I didn't fall though. I fell though. I wonder if I should put in a timestamp that just says skip to here to see the new peak so that you guys don't have to watch me just constantly fall like a failure. Oh, that would be good. Not going to do that though. You're going to have to watch this full hour. 10 more. And I don't think I can recover from here. Nope. 9 more. It's crazy how much just the energy has changed for me. Just having something new happen. I feel a weight lifted off of my chest. And I've reached a whole new peak. And I made a lot of progress today, even though I haven't had much in the way of fall attempts. Nope, as they say. I'm really tempted, and I'm not going to do this because it would be violating my sacred oath of how I want to do this. But I almost want to just immediately record another episode. But I mean, I think it'd be a bad idea because of how sloppy I'm suddenly playing. But I have a feeling of ooh, look at me right now. Anyways, Dungeon Crawler Carl has so much different progression and interesting approaches to playing that it made me crave a game like that. So I looked. And I looked. And I looked. And I realized that the only games like that are Bethesda games. Specifically Skyrim, Oblivion. And even then I feel so deeply limited. So I kept looking. And I found some MMO that almost sounds relevant. But then I remembered that I cannot play MMOs. It's it's the anti-me. There's just something about them that deeply doesn't work for me as a player. I don't know what it is exactly. I've tried to understand, but I don't. Whoopsie. I think I'm supposed to jump back. There we go. Got 7 falls. And every fall here is learning. I mean, not here, but every fall like that is learning. Now, if I fall, it's learning. Okay. That was too much gas. Too little gas. 6. I don't need to worry about that bouncing at all, right? Okay, maybe. So I decided to cut this off where I fell the 130th time because I was so excited I was miscounting or something. I thought I had 135. I really have 130 falls. So the video skips a little bit to this point, but thank you very much for watching. I'm really excited. I've got a new peak, guys. Yes. And to finish my tangent, I just thought Skyrim, but with more skills. That's the best thing I could do. Thank you very much for watching. And I am fucking pumped